What a mistake. They let us go live on the network before the Super Bowl. We're bringing you up to the biggest game of the season, and you get to see these two mugs for the next half hour. Welcome to a special episode of Highly Debatable, episode 3. And in 3 short episodes, we've gone from recorded to live and heading up the Super Bowl. Sonny, what is everyone thinking letting us do this?
I'm not really sure. I hope you've got the censor button over there for both the mouth and the beep sound, because this could get interesting.
Yeah, it could be real bad. We're not going to lie, but we got some great topics leading up to this. We'll give you our predictions for the Super Bowl. As always, if this is your first time joining us, Sonny, why don't you give them a rundown about Highly Debatable and what they can do to have a little effect on who wins each episode?
Yeah, so Highly Debatable, if you haven't seen us before, obviously, it's in the intro, 3 topics, 20 minutes. Me and OSU are going to go at it. No topic off limit. And I know we're going to get into it a little bit tonight as we go. You can hashtag Sonny wins, hashtag OSU wins. Go ahead and throw those in the chat. We'll keep track as we go. And at the end, we'll declare them. And I think, OSU, I think we have an update on the score.
Yeah. See, here's the thing.
Make sure you get that up there.
Here's the thing. I got it up there. And Sonny Weaver took episode 2. And unlike my co-host,
by a landslide,
I'm going to take this loss in stride and say, congratulations, Sonny. I'm not going to whine about possible collusion. I'm not going to whine about Sonny obviously creating multiple different accounts to vote for himself. What I'm going to say is, congratulations to my co-host. You won fair and square. Let's get to the next episode. I'm going to be the bigger man like I have been my entire life.
Fair assessment.
So again, get those in the chat after the episode. We'll be calling for those throughout after round 3. Get those into the chat. We'll keep track. We'll see who comes up. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, post in the chat down below hashtag OSU wins or hashtag Sonny wins. We'll total that all up before the next episode. But let's get this underway, Sonny Weaver. Let's go to round 1. And in round 1, our topic is, well, I think what we would consider one of the great surprises, one of the great storylines of this NBL playoffs, the Washington Redskins. The Porter curse on NBL Live has been broken. And now the question is, where do we go from here? Sonny Weaver, I'm going to pose this one to you first. Are the Washington Redskins, with the season they had this year, which was a great regular season, with a big win in the playoffs, with the breaking of the Porter curse, are the Skins set to take the NFC East next year?
Yeah, I will tell you what, OSU. I think this is now the Washington Redskins division. Samaje Perine, Belisari, the dynamic duo, the young guns out there, they're looking good. And I think now, when you look at this, the New York Giants, I've got some questions about that team. They really looked lost out there offensively. I'm not sure they really know what's going to happen going forward. You've got Odell Beckham. But who's going to be the number 2? I think Sterling Shepard's more of that slot guy. I really like this Redskins team, OSU, and I think right now, if I'm ownership bananas, I lost my chance at the Super Bowl. That was 2 years ago. I let that one slip away, and now I may be letting the division slip away.
Yeah, I like this Redskins team a lot. I think this Redskins team is very talented. I mean, there's no doubt they're one of the great storylines in the playoffs. I think everybody was rooting for Porter's Redskins to break that Porter curse. I'm not quite ready to say they're going to win the NFC East next year, and here's why. This division, I think, is one of the top toughest divisions here in the NBL. Not just with the New York Giants, and again, the Redskins and Giants played twice this year, played 3 times this year. Redskins taking 2 of those 3, the last one being very close, 2013, but during the regular season, the Redskins beat a Giants team that was sort of coasting in Week 16, 35-3, and in Week 3, they got absolutely pummeled by the Giants, 40-6. This Redskins team was very different at the end of the season, so no doubt I'd take those last results with more credence. But with the New York Giants and with the Dallas Cowboys, and I think a lot of people forget about those Dallas Cowboys. With those Dallas Cowboys in the division, I'm just not convinced this Redskins team is guaranteed an NFC East division. I think they are guaranteed to get in the playoffs next year for sure. I think there's a wild card team at the very least. I think they can win the division, absolutely. But I think with the New York Giants and this past defense of Washington struggled at times this year, bottom half of the league pass defense at 157 a game, having to go up against that team and then having to go up against the very rush-heavy and very overachieving Dallas Cowboys. I just don't know if they can get past that much competition to win the division. I think they're certainly one of the best teams in that division. I'm just not ready to say they're going to win the NFC East.
35-3, Washington Redskins, Week 16. The New York Giants ownership said that's not going to happen again. You won't see a performance like that again. And then we get to the playoffs, 20-13, Washington Redskins. Let me give you some numbers. Davis Webb, 3 interceptions, 11 for 25. Where's your passing attack? I don't think they can throw. You know, Petaway can run, but he can't save this team. I just don't know how this Giants offense is going to score when Davis Webb can't throw the ball downfield. I think Josh Norman is a lockdown cornerstone in this league. Cromartie, who's really bailed the Giants out a lot this year, he's getting older. He's not going to be there forever. I just think this Giants team is getting a little too long in the tooth. And I think right now Redskins are really peaking.
Well, and here's the thing. You love stats, Sonny. I know how much you love to bring them up. And let me read some stats for you on the quarterback of what you think is going to be the team that takes the NFC East in the Washington Redskins. Completing less than 60% of his passes over the regular season. 14 touchdowns, 25 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 73.5. Zach Belisari performed very well down the stretch. Zach Belisari and the Washington Redskins got very hot down the stretch. And this team is better with Samaje Perine. Again, we saw this team play without Perine in the playoffs and still win a game. I'm just not sold that Zach Belisari is a division-winning quarterback when you throw 11 more interceptions than touchdowns. And that's why I'm not saying they're not going to win it. This is a playoff team, I think, for sure. I think Zach Belisari, with one more year under his belt, is going to be much better. But at the end of the day, I think Zach Belisari makes too many mistakes for this team to overcome the high-powered offense in the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys.
Wait a second. It's a rookie. Rookies get better. Look at his stats down the stretch. Like you said, down the stretch. Throw out everything in the first part of the year. He's not the same guy. He's a 70+% passer against the New York Giants in the last 2 games. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the lack of interceptions he threw against those Giants. I'm telling you, the guy is peaking. The Giants are declining.
Davis Webb threw...
Next topic.
Davis Webb threw 3 more interceptions than touchdowns. Zach Belisari threw 11.
Hashtag Sonny wins.
So let's be clear. Sonny Weaver's whole plan in this entire debate is just to talk over me and yell louder. So everybody, if you're looking for a bully to win, then vote for Sonny Weaver. Let's go to round 2. Round 2, interesting topic we have here. The Pittsburgh Steelers going in that Super Bowl tonight against the Seattle Seahawks. This is an interesting storyline to watch for the Steelers because the question that we're going to pose is sort of a complicated one. So stick with us. But, Sonny, the question that I'm interested to have the answer to, and I'll give you my answer first, is this game going to determine whether the Pittsburgh Steelers are the flagship franchise of the NBL with a win today, or whether they are one of the biggest disappointments in the NBL with a loss? It's a big line to cross between 2 extremes. And for me, I don't think that this really goes one way or the other. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are the flagship franchise of the NBL right now. If you were talking to me maybe 4 or 5 seasons ago, you'd be saying the Detroit Lions. Absolutely. But we saw what the Lions did this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers' consistency is unbelievable. Ben Roethlisberger, as long as he is at the helm of the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is the flagship franchise because his quarterback rating of 144 through the season is absolutely unbelievable. If they lose, will it be a disappointment? Absolutely. Will I say they're the biggest disappointment? No, I don't think they're the biggest disappointment because it turns out winning a Super Bowl is tough, and they're going to be losing to the defending champs who have proven me completely wrong and have gotten back to the Super Bowl, so congratulations to the Seahawks. I just don't think that it's black or white in this one. I think a loss would be disappointing, but at the end of the day, even with a loss today in the Super Bowl, the Pittsburgh Steelers are still the flagship franchise, or the flagship franchise, whichever way you want to say it, of the NBL.
Well, let me tell you where you're wrong. And where you're wrong is very simple. Look across the field at the team they're playing tonight. They rose to the occasion last year. They come out the Super Bowl champion. Now you see them again standing across representing the NFC tonight. And what I will say is not only will a win tonight actually set the Seattle Seahawks as the best team in NBL, undisputed, I think it will set up the Steelers as the biggest choke artists in NBL. And let me explain. They went undefeated last year in the regular season only to get demolished in the playoffs by the Patriots. not quite undefeated this year, but yet they rolled to an AFC title. Are we looking at another letdown? I think a letdown here really has people questioning, are these Steelers legit? Can they handle the pressure? I'm not sure that's going to happen. I actually feel like the Seattle Seahawks tonight can solidify themselves as the best team in NBL.
Okay, so let's get to the main crux of the question, which is, I'm taking it from this particular argument that you believe more in what happens during the playoffs, which again, yes, the playoffs are who determines the champion, but the 4 games in the playoffs are more important than the 17 games in the regular season.
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
So the Steelers the Steelers regular season last year meant nothing, and they didn't come away with anything. And now they've lost some games in the regular season, and here we are again in the playoffs.
Hey, you know who else has lost a lot of games? The Seattle Seahawks. They had 7 losses in the worst division in the NBL.
You're right, but they have one NBL title. And
hey, how many does Lip and the Pittsburgh Steelers have?
I don't know. Did they get their second one tonight? I don't know. But
how many did the Lip and the Pittsburgh Steelers have? I believe he's going for his 4th tonight. I don't care about anything
that happened before last year. No, you talked to me about this year. This year.
Hey, no, you just talked about last year. You just said last season the Seahawks. If only this year matters, then right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are a 14-2 team, and the Seattle Seahawks are a 9-7.
Let me help you out here. This cycle, right? So.
Steelers so it's only the history of the last 3 seasons. We don't.
The biggest letdown ever last year. They were dominant and they fell flat on their face. And now they're setting up this year. They look like they should win. They look like they should roll. You're talking about the best player not even playing for the Seattle Seahawks. Thomas Rawls is not going to play. He's not going to play. Yet, they could lose this game tonight. And then what does that mean? I think that means they're the biggest choke artists.
Sonny Weaver doing an interesting thing where history only counts 2 years or 3 years back, not 4 years. That 4th year, that's where we draw the line, folks. Season 25 doesn't count. Season 26 is good because it fits Sonny Weaver's argument.
Exactly.
That's how it works. We got it. I just think this Pittsburgh Steelers team is so good. And let's get to round 3, which is the one that everybody is interested in. And we're going to talk about the Super Bowl tonight, folks. The defending champ Seattle Seahawks going for back-to-back titles. The Pittsburgh Steelers and owner Lip going for what I believe is their 4th title. This is an interesting matchup. It's a chance for a little validity for the Seattle Seahawks. It's a chance to solidify a dynasty even further for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sonny Weaver, I'll be the generous man and give you the first go at this one. Who is going to win tonight? You are all busy in round 2 building up the Seattle Seahawks, so I better hear a big West Coast win from you, Sonny Weaver.
So where we're going with this one tonight, folks, I am going to take the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, after all of the struggles and comments I've made to Kyle about the Seattle Seahawks, I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to win this one. I believe they are going to get to Ben Roethlisberger. They are going to disrupt them. I know Ryan Shazier is back and Howard, the rookie wide receiver. But when it comes to crunch time, I think the Seahawks get to Big Ben. And when you can get to Big Ben, you can turn over Big Ben. And that will be the key tonight. I think Zach Zenner, the Z train, what we saw just the other night there in the NFC title game, we see it again. The Z train helps carry them. Russell Wilson plays outstanding. Seattle Seahawks back-to-back. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are choke artists once again.
Well, first of all, I have to give a lot of credit to the Seattle Seahawks. I have been one of the leading critics of the Seahawks team. They have proved a lot of people wrong, including myself, in getting back to the Super Bowl title, and it's going to be really cute when the Pittsburgh Steelers beat them by 35 tonight. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to roll them. This is a team that rolled one of the best teams in the NBL, the San Diego Chargers, 40-17 in the AFC Championship game. This Pittsburgh team is playing at a higher level than any team right now, and oh right, this Pittsburgh Steelers defense just got healthier with the return of their leader, Ryan Shazier. Pittsburgh is going to win. Pittsburgh is going to win big. I'm going to say at least 2 touchdowns. Could be 3, but I'll say 2 touchdowns. I think Pittsburgh is going to roll up this Seattle Seahawks team that is playing without their best offensive weapon in Thomas Rawls. The Seattle Seahawks did a great job against the Minnesota Vikings and a great job getting here, and they should feel no shame in losing to what I think is the best team we have ever seen in the NBL in this Pittsburgh Steelers team. And I think it is also incredibly funny to sit here and listen to Sonny Weaver talk about how to beat Lip and the Pittsburgh Steelers when he couldn't do it at all when he was in the division. So if you're out there, Kyle, and you're trying to listen to some advice that Sonny's giving you, take everything he says, just throw it away, just like we throw away Delvar's help on 3 and out. It's not worth it. He has no idea how to beat this team.
Well, let's talk about that again. So again, let's fit the narrative. Against this team, right? I did beat them by 9 points, and it really wasn't even that close. Late score made that game look better than it was. Last season got to pressure. He pulled it out at the end. But you talked about him steamrolling the playoffs. Do we forget that it took overtime against the Indianapolis?
Whoa. Don't put words in this fat guy's mouth. I said he steamrolled the Chargers in the AFC Championship game.
So then we don't care. So you say I don't care about drawing the line of demarcation a couple seasons ago. You don't care about the first round.
No, I care very much. I would like to remind you, in episode, I believe it was episode 1 of Highly Debatable, you said that the Indianapolis Colts had no chance. They weren't getting to the playoffs without their quarterback, Andrew Luck. And now you're like, wow, the Colts, what a great game against the Steelers.
You're right. And I believe, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I think Andrew Luck actually played in that game. But just, throwing that out there. So they made it there. So let's say Andrew Luck wasn't even in that game. Now, how did they keep it that close with the Steelers? Maybe the Steelers just aren't as good as you think they are. Maybe. It's not like this Seahawks team didn't beat a very good Lions team or a very good Vikings team. We're going to pretend like that didn't happen? I don't know. I like the Steelers the Seahawks.
I hate you. Freudian slip. He said who he really believes is going to win tonight, folks.
Not at all.
I would like to point out that I care, just like Sonny Weaver, I care about recent history, and recent history was the AFC Championship game 2 days ago, and the Seattle Seahawks, they won their NFC Championship game by 14 points, and the Chargers won theirs against a much better team by much more than 14. So let's get out of this one. We're about ready to get it to the pregame show of the Super Bowl. Folks, post who you think won in the chat now. We'll start tallying it up. We've seen it, people doing that. Hashtag OSU win, hashtag Sonny wins. We'll keep track now up until the end of the show. Just a programming note, we will be taking the stream down just for 5 minutes. We'll come back on at 8:30. Just got to switch some things up with the streaming. But we can't get out of here without doing our shout-outs. And it's time to do our shout-outs. And first of all, I would like to say big shout-out to our chat right now, who's posting a lot of OSU wins, and also to everybody who tuned in today for the live episode of Highly Debatable. Because this was a big jump for us from recorded to live, and we got some more surprises up our sleeves for the show. But to our shout-outs, I'm going to give a big shout-out to somebody who deserves a shout-out. I'm going to give a big shout-out to the Washington Redskins, because at the end of the day, this Washington Redskins team and owner Porter brought some life to the playoffs that I don't think we've seen in a while, Sonny. Everybody was sort of entranced to see what's going to happen with this Redskins team. I've never seen a community get behind one team in the playoff quite so much as they did behind Porter's Redskins, and that's a lot of credit to Porter and a lot of credit to the Redskins. So a big shout out to Porter's Redskins, and I'm looking forward to next season to see if we got a little bit of like a community train rolling, if we're going to see the Porter's Redskins get a lot of fans throughout the regular season.
Yeah, that's a great shout out there. Definitely a big Porter fan in the playoffs. Very surprised by that. And as you can see, I think they take that division. So again, hashtag Sonny wins. Anyways, shout out. I'm going to go ahead and take a personal shout out because this one hurts so deep down inside. Shout out to the Tennessee Titans secondary. The game was won. It was ready to go. And all you had to do was stop one pass downfield. Yet, you decided not to do it. And instead of breaking the curse of Sonny Weaver one and dones, we go down in a blaze of glory. So shout out to those SOBs in the Tennessee Titans secondary. You screwed me. Thanks, guys.
Sonny Weaver, a big fan of his secondary right now. Just an update on the scoreboard, Sonny, if you're interested. Currently, the tally is OSU wins is at 10, Sonny wins is at 2. So you're right there. The comeback is on. If you're watching this live, keep getting those in the chat. We'll be going down in just a second. If you're watching this on YouTube after we've gone live, post down in the chat who you think wins using the hashtag OSU wins, hashtag Sonny wins. Sonny, we got the Super Bowl coming up. Super excited for that. But as for highly debatable, I think this live format sort of works. Perhaps we're going to keep doing this because I think it turned out a rousing success.
Yeah, real happy with it. I think it was a lot of fun, and we'll have to make sure to do it again. Now, I think the crowd that watches us live may slant a little more towards you, so we'll have to be very judicious about how we count votes going forward. But I like the program this way.
Sonny, as always, a ton of respect to you, and I'm looking forward to calling the Super Bowl with you folks. Stick with us. We'll be going down. The stream will go down till 8:30 when we'll go back live. Hit that subscribe button so you know exactly when we go live. We'll have the Super Bowl here for Season 27. For my co-host, Sonny Weaver, I'm OSU. We appreciate you watching a special live edition of Highly Debatable, Episode 3, and we'll see you in 8 minutes right here for the Super Bowl for Season 27, Seahawks and Steelers here on the NBL Network.